Sport Fishing on the Fly is brought to you by Togens Fly Shop, Maui Jim Sunglasses, and Hardy Rods and Reels.
Hey folks, welcome to On the Bench. Today I'm going to tie you up my Ring of Fire blob. This blob's been extremely effective up in the BC interior the last 5 years or so. So make sure you have these materials ready before you tie the fly. For hook, I'm using a Togens size 10 Scud barbless hook. It's a one-time short length. For thread, I'm using 12-aught Semperfli classic wax thread, and it's fluorescent orange. You can just use regular orange is fine. For the tail, I'm using hot orange marabou. And for the body, I'm using 15mm Plush Chenille by Semperfli in fluorescent yellow Sunburst. Go ahead and start your thread on the hook. If you don't have the fluorescent orange, you can use hot orange thread. Just take your thread back to about the point where the barb would be on a hook. Next, take your orange, hot orange marabou and just peel a little bit off one side, enough to form a tail. Quite often I use crystal flash or different colors of flash as the sort of tail on a blob, except for this one. I prefer the marabou. It's quite a short little bit. This fly's been most effective in the fall, though I have to admit I haven't fished it a lot in the spring. Last fall it was extremely good up in the Caribou and Kamloops areas. Just got a little bit of marabou there I'm going to trim. Let's cover all that up. Next, take your bright yellow Fritz or Plush Chenille, like I'm using. And you could, I've got a little glass of water here, you could wet this material to make it easier to handle, easier to deal with. Especially if you're new to tying blobs, I found that really helpful. And I've just exposed a little piece of the string to tie in on. Tie that down and bring your thread all the way to the head. Just leave a little space at the front, maybe 1 eye length or so. And then you can just wrap your material up the hook. In touching turns. I don't like to crowd the head on this fly. Just tie that off. One little piece there that doesn't want to stay. There we go. And then just put a little orange head on there. Trim your material away. And then you can lip finish. I got the marabou a little bit wet with my fingers. That's okay. That's how it'll look when it's wet. Just put a couple in there. And then next, with the 15mm chenille, I always like to give it just a slight haircut to make it a little bit smaller. Like, nothing too fancy. Just trim a little bit of it off. And the reason I do this is because right here where the hook gape is, I like to just have that hook a little bit more clear of the gape. So you don't have to trim the whole thing, but just make sure that that hook gape is fairly clear. And then you can just round it off. Some of the different fritzes come in the 10mm, which I prefer, but I do like this for the UV properties. So Lindsay Simpson ties a very similar fab, this color. That's good. That's it, my Ring of Fire blob. Thanks for joining me on this edition of On the Bench. Take care, everyone. Conserve the waters and tight lines.